Hello and welcome. You're watching WION. I'm Shailaja Varma. The big breaking news this Sunday afternoon, a Russian military plane with 91 people on board has gone missing. A Tu-154 Tu-154 aircraft belonging to the Russian Defense Ministry disappeared from radars after the takeoff from Sochi in Russia. Russian media is reporting the flight, which is believed to be carrying 83 passengers and 8 crew members, vanished between 5 and 7 kilometers after its takeoff over the Arabian Sea. Media reports quoting the emergency ministry sources in Russia say the plane disappeared 20 minutes after it took off from Sochi's Adler Airport at about 5:20 local time. Reports suggest Russian plane has crashed reportedly after its takeoff. Renowned Alexandrov folk dance troupe was on board that aircraft. According to reports, the Russian Army's official choir was also on the plane. Tu-154 was en route to Latakia in Syria. According to reports, musicians and about 9 journalists are also believed to be among the passengers, apart from the crew members. Unconfirmed reports say that musicians from Alexandrov Ensemble, the official army choir of the Russian army, were also on board. My colleague Archit Sheshadri joins us for more details. Archit, has there been any official confirmation from the authorities in Russia about the disappearance of this aircraft?
Still waiting on getting that information, whether or not officially it's crashed, but we are seeing media reports from many agencies saying they have found debris from that plane that vanished 20 minutes after it took off from Sochi's airport in the Black Sea. So certainly that indicates that the plane vanished and possibly crashed into the Black Sea. So at this point, no official confirmation yet, but we are waiting to hear from investigators on what happened and what exactly led to that plane disappearing from radar. We do know that the plane was leaving from Sochi's Alder Airport to an airbase in Syria in Latakia, and there were 91 people on board, including many journalists, as well as a musical ensemble troupe who were headed there for New Year's. At this point, no word on what may have led to that Tu-154 to vanish from airspace. Some media are indicating that it could have been technical problems. So still no word if it was pilot error, weather, or any other kind of situation. So those are the clues that investigators will hopefully be shedding to light soon.
Right, Archit. And can you take us through the steps that authorities would take under such circumstances when an aircraft disappears?
Yeah, when the aircraft disappears, there's a lot of things that they look into. Before they can analyze and figure out what went wrong. Some of the things they look at are obviously the extent of the damage of the plane, what they can salvage. Certainly, looking out for survivors is the most important thing to see who they can rescue, and even the type of injuries that some of those people on board had will allow them to figure out what led to that plane crash. So you always hear it when you're on the plane. You hear that brace for that position, keep your seatbelts fastened. It'll be very interesting to see what they're able to recover, because a lot of that will give them clues. Was it turbulence? Was it the pilot error? All of those things will allow them to identify what went wrong. Even the way the plane, if it supposedly did crash into the Black Sea, the way it crashed will give them some kind of situation. Was the pilot trying to make an emergency landing, in the water? Was he trying to head back? Or did the plane just spin out of control and fall into the sea? So all of that will be the things that investigators will look at once they get their hand on that debris and what type of debris they're able to actually salvage. Unfortunately, this news coming in with just, a slew of crashes happening in the last few months, with the Pakistan International Airlines also crashing early in November with a prominent Pakistani singer on board that crashed into the mountainous region there of that country, and then a Brazilian soccer team on board another plane crash in Colombia, South America. So certainly we've seen many high-profile plane crashes, and this one will certainly be no less, with many journalists and artists on board. Now investigators will have to analyze, look for that black box, understand the recordings between the pilot and the air control tower to see what went wrong. But still no word from Putin or any of the officials, but the Russian Defense Ministry is providing sporadic updates, so a little bit here and there, but nothing super concrete just yet.
Right, Archit, and take us through the details of the people who were on board Tu-154.
Christmas Day when all of this happened, so you can imagine the mood on that plane. Many of those people, we can imagine, were trying to get home to their family or spread Christmas cheer and Christmas joy. We know there were 9 journalists on board. We also know there were many members of a musical ensemble group. We're hearing reports that it was the Alexandrov Ensemble, which is the official army choir of the Russian armed forces. Many of those artists headed to Syria to perform ahead of New Year's. So, we're just a week away now from New Year's, and many of these people getting out there for rehearsals, practicing spreading holiday cheer. Unfortunately, they never made it to Syria because of what happened and what went wrong. So that is certainly heartbreaking news for their friends, family, and those they were performing for. There were 83 passengers on board, 8 crew members. Again, we do not want to report anything inaccurate, but what we do know is debris was found. We know the plane disappeared after 20 minutes from takeoff, and that they have found some kind of debris in the Black Sea. That doesn't necessarily mean that all passengers on board have not survived. That's the big question at this point, to find out if there are any survivors. That's what investigators will be looking at most and getting as quickly as they can to the waters there. It's only about 5 to 7 kilometers away from Sochi's airport is what we're seeing. So hopefully it shouldn't take crews too long. But the big question is, was there any survivors? And if there were, the first priority will be to take them to the hospitals and treat them.
Right, Archit. And for the benefit of our viewers, could you give us a sense of the spot, the location from where this aircraft took off and its destination?
Sure. I mean, Sochi is certainly, not a small place by any means. It was where when the Olympics was held, a few years ago. So the airport, Sochi's Aldo Airport, taking these 91 passengers and crew members to Syria, to an Air Force base, to Latakia. Again, happened 5:20 early morning local time. Many people probably had no idea what was even happening. If there was any kind of a commotion on board, it probably happened so fast, because it happened 20 minutes after takeoff, about 7 kilometers away from the airport. So we are seeing some reports that there was some kind of technical malfunction. Russia's RIA news agency says there was a technical glitch, technical problem on board that caused the crash. Again, those are still reports by media, local media there. Until the official investigation results come in, it's too early to speculate what happened, but we do know many of these musicians and members, journalists possibly headed to Syria either for spending time with their family or, in the case of the choir, headed there to perform for the New Year's. So that's the information that we have right now from Black Sea. They found debris there. The plane leaving from Sochi this morning at 5:20 on its way to Syria, crashing or vanishing rather, and then now we're getting reports that it crashed about 20 minutes after takeoff.
Right, Archit Seshadri, thank you so much for all those details. Do continue tracking the developments. Moving on,